We are gathered here today to sip some tea, honey, so make sure you guys have your teacups ready because this tea is what? Piping hot. Hey, you guys, it's your girl T, and I hope everybody's doing good today. Make sure you guys have your teacups ready.
Get ready. Y'all get ready.
Yes, you get ready.
Because this tea is what? Piping hot. So anyways, I wanted to thank my peoples on Instagram for just all the kind words. I have posted some videos showing you guys proof of some of the, dusty comments I get and some of the hate-filled comments I get. And you guys' positivity and positive words really meant a lot to me. And you guys were just telling me to keep up the good work. You know what I'm saying? I have way more people who love me and who support me than the few people who are negative and always in their feelings, who troll all the time. But anyhow, thank you guys for all the comments. I really appreciate it. I really want to come on here today and really hit on this real serious topic that I think a lot of people do not talk about, and it gets brushed under the rug. If you guys do not know, boxing legend Mike Tyson, he recently opened up about a painful childhood secret. He did an interview with ESPN's Jeremy Schnapp this week. And in that interview, he described how at the age of 7 years old, he was snatched off the street by an older man, and that older man sexually abused him. And you can tell he is still in a world of pain behind this revelation. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the clip really quick. Check this out, and I'm going to come back with the rest of my commentary.
Wow, I don't even feel like talking about it. But one day a guy grabbed me and tried to bring me into a building.
What did he do to you?
Well, I don't like to talk about that. I like to keep that where it was in the past. But I was molested as a child.
What kind of impact do you think that had on you?
It made me have to be tough for the world I lived in.
We've talked many times over the years, for 25 years. And you've never talked about this when we've talked. And you waited until you were almost 50 to tell me.
Well, it was nobody's business to know. People just don't talk about it. Because to some people, they believe it's demasculating them.
Did you feel shame?
Probably so, yeah. I learned that don't mean that any less of a man because it happened.
Did you tell anyone at the time?
Hey, why are we sticking on this molestation thing?
Because I've never heard you talk about it.
Well, I never told anybody about it.
All right, so you guys just saw that clip with Mike Tyson. And while we're on this subject, I also want to talk about Chester Bennington from Linkin Park. I know a lot of folks wanted me to do a video about it, but I am a fan of Linkin Park, and I really didn't want to talk about it because I had my speculations on why he took his life. And I know one of the people that I follow on Instagram, she was posting stuff. I know she lives in Florida, and I cannot think of your name right now, but you know who I'm talking about. And she was posting, her feelings about his death and, how she was taking it really hard. And I had liked her status. And I think a lot of people took it hard because, he was still on the road performing. And Linkin Park has always made a lot of really good music that a lot of people really feel.
I've become so numb, I can't feel you there.
And what a lot of people didn't realize is that Chester came out years ago and was very honest about how he was sexually abused. And he had been sexually abused since the age of 7. And because of that, he started getting heavily involved in drugs by the time he was 11 years old. He was dropping acid and just whatever drug you can think of. At 11 years old, this man was literally trying it. And the ironic thing is that his mother was a nurse and his father was a police officer who dealt with child abuse victims. But even in that type of environment, having two stable parents, nurses witness child abuse all the time in their line of work. Police officers witness it all the time in their line of work. But these two people didn't even realize what was going on in their own home. And he didn't feel comfortable enough as a child to go to his parents and tell them what he was going through. And so basically this trauma happened to him between the ages of 7 and 13. I want you guys to watch this small snippet of Chester Bennington talking about his ordeal. Check this out.
Most people probably don't relate Linkin Park or myself with, alcoholism or drug addiction or anything like that. And, but that's a part of my life, and it's been a part of my life since I was a very young boy. I started using drugs when I was 11. So it was, I definitely wasn't making records at that time. So I was exposed to it really, really young, and there was a lot of things that happened to me as a young person that were really difficult to deal with, and I found myself alone a lot, and so it was. I think that given the nature of a lot of the aspects of my childhood, when that first person offered me, an escape from reality, I kind of took it and I ran with it.
All right, so you guys just saw that small snippet, okay? So the abuse that Chester faced, he faced this until he turned 13. And later on, people were trying to figure out, well, who was molesting him? Who did this to him? He never came out to really name the person, but he did tell the world that it was a close friend of his. This was somebody who was a few years older than him. So it wasn't some old creepy guy in a dark alley. It wasn't an uncle. It was literally an older friend of his who took advantage of the fact that, this was a younger child looking up to an older child, and the child was a few years older than him. And when I sit and I think about everything that Chester was going through, for another child to turn around and perpetuate the same type of abuse to him lets me know that 9 times out of 10, the person who was molesting him was also a victim of molestation as well. And this is why topics like this need to be discussed. This is why people who face abuse need to get counseling and need to get help. Sometimes the abuser can then in turn start doing the abusing if they are not counseled properly. So the whole situation is just really, really sad. And I'm really glad that Mike Tyson is putting this in the forefront, because so many times when it comes to male sexual abuse, it's not addressed, it's swept under the rug, or people feel like it's not a big deal because it's a boy. Men are supposed to be strong. They're not supposed to wear their emotions on their sleeves. And especially when it's a situation where you have a woman doing the abusing towards a young boy, a lot of times people will dismiss that and say, well, he must want it. He's the male, so what? It's not a big deal. It's never okay for anyone to be sexually violated by anybody. I don't care if it's a family member, if it's a teacher, if it's a female, a male, a person in authority. Nobody has the right to take the innocence of a child. And to be honest with you, I'm not surprised that this happened to Mike Tyson. A lot of things happen to so many people, but we never know about it because people are afraid to talk about it. There's a lot of stigma. There's a lot of shame, especially when it comes to men. So I applaud people like Mike Tyson putting aside their persona, putting aside their masculinity, putting aside, that male machismo, to speak openly about a subject that's very, very hard to discuss, something that stays with you for the rest of your life. If you guys have been on my channel from day one, you guys know the abuse that I face and the things that I've been through in my life. I'm not going to rehash them in this video because this is not about me and my issues. We're talking about Chester Bennington and Mike Tyson. But I'm very passionate about this because I know exactly how they feel. What a lot of people don't realize is that you never really get over the abuse. It never leaves you. It's something that's always in the back of your mind, and it makes it very, very hard to trust people. And it just also proves that a lot of people are wolves in sheep clothing, because again, anyone can come out the woodwork to prey on you, to prey on your children and things like that. And you have a lot of really sick, depraved people out here. Okay. I'm just hoping that eventually Mike Tyson will be able to find peace. But it's really sad that in this day and age, you have people, who still have the mentality that it's not a big deal. You're in your 30s or 40s, get over it. But again, a lot of abuse is bigger than it just being sexual. A lot of it is very, very mental. And especially once you get to an adult space and you're grown and you realize it, like, damn, that's not normal. That should not have happened to me. Sometimes when children go through that, they normalize it or they don't realize that it's wrong until they grow up and they look back like, wow, I can't believe this was going on. And, so I'm very happy that this is being brought out there in the forefront. And we need more people, especially people in positions like a Mike Tyson, like a Chester Bennington, to speak out about things like that, to let people know that if you're going through this currently in 2017, it's okay for you to speak out. It's okay for you to speak out and talk about the abuse that you're going through, and you should not be judged or shamed for it. It's something that will always stay in your head. It makes it where you can't sleep at times. It's a lot of really, really dark memories, and child sexual abuse stays with you for life. It never leaves. Now, with that being said, I also want to let you guys know that Nicki Minaj's brother, who's currently being accused of child molestation, he goes to court starting today. As you guys know, for the past few months, they've been pushing his trial back and all this other stuff. But finally, the judge says, no more. You're going to trial, and he's going to be tried. So now we're just going to have to wait to see if he's going to be found guilty or not guilty. If he ends up being found guilty for molesting that little girl, He, to me, is nothing but a monster, and he deserves every bit of that 15 years because, again, that little girl is going to have to deal with that molestation and that psychological abuse for the rest of her life. So this situation is really, really deep, and it affects a lot of people. And it does not matter if you're related to a celebrity. If you are a celebrity, anybody, like I said before, can be a wolf in sheep's clothing. And I don't think that any of these people need to, forgive their abuser and just move on. I think self-love helps, and knowing that it's not your fault helps. But I also feel like talking out and not being afraid to share your story definitely helps not only yourself, but it also helps those who may be going through that abuse right now, but they're too afraid or they don't know where to turn. You know what I'm saying? You never know who's going to come across a story. You never know who's going to run across a TV show or run across something, and, you may help them. So I'm really happy that Mike Tyson is speaking about this. And because he's speaking about this, I kind of feel like I kind of understand, his thought pattern and how crazy he was in like the early 80s and 90s and all that stuff. Now some of his actions kind of make sense to me because he's been dealing with this sexual abuse and it's been in his psyche this whole time, So the whole situation is really sad, but I really wanted to come on here and talk about that. And again, kudos to Mike Tyson and people like Chester Bennington for having the strength to come out and share their stories. But unfortunately for Chester, it was too much for him to bear, and he ended up taking his life on July 20th. He hung himself in his California estate back then, and they since had his funeral, and a lot of Lincoln Park fans are still mourning his death. And it's really sad that he chose to take his life. But I feel like he was battling a lot of demons, and he was going through a lot of stuff. And that's why, it doesn't matter how much somebody smiles and, laughs. You never know what people are truly going through internally. And, just having fame and money means absolutely nothing. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, these people are human beings, just like you and I. So having fame and money means nothing if you're really, really, truly battling a bunch of demons.
So let's go ahead and get the discussion popping. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that like button. And make sure you click that bell so you can be down with the notification squad, honey. So let's go ahead and get the discussion popping. Go ahead and leave a comment. All right. Deuces.
Hey you guys, it's your girl T. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share my videos. You can also visit Lovelyti.com to purchase any merchandise. Also, don't forget to click the boxes down below to watch any of my previous videos. Talk to y'all later. Deuces.